What's up, guys? So, leaving work early today. Took an appointment with a shop down the street to get this car on the dyno. So let's go see what she makes. I'm guessing at least 150 at the wheels. All right, let's go. Okay, finally done with the dyno, and I'm back actually by my house now. And I just want to kind of go over a few things about the dyno, some random talks, just for a little bit. Didn't want to make a long video or anything. So, first things first, it was a long time coming for me to get to the dyno. Honestly, like I've been wanting to get this car to the dyno for, I mean, this is the first time this car's been on the dyno. So for me, never had it on the dyno in my ownership, so I really wanted to see what it could do. But the setup has changed a few times since I've owned it. I've had it like 3 or 4 years now, and then I had issues here and there. I had a long story, honestly. Like if you've been able to keep up, then cool. If not, it's a lot to explain. That's just kind of how it goes with modified cars, I guess, right? So, quick backstory. When I first got this car from John OG, he had it boosted already, and in his setup, I think it dynoed at 247 horsepower at the wheels, 280 torque. That was at 8 psi on a stock intake manifold. Very tame setup. Side mount intercooler, Bosch 440cc injectors, C2 turbo software, tuned from 2009 or so. The turbo was a Precision 5457, I think. And let's see what else. 2-inch exhaust, high flow cat, muffler. Like, it was, very tame compared to what I'm used to, because I live in Florida, so there's like no emissions rules, laws, inspections, none of that stuff. I had to change a bunch of stuff when I first got the car. Now the setup is actually, I forgot a couple things. His setup not only was at 8 psi on the 5457, it was also on the stock intake manifold, stock fuel pump, stock mass airflow sensor, Bosch 440cc injectors. It had the old C2 software, like I mentioned, and it was fine, but not, it needed some work. Obviously, if you don't already know, the tuner from C2 started United Motorsports, Jeffrey Atwood, and over the years has just gotten better at what he does. More technologies come out, and so eventually I got reflashed to UM software, still running the same amount of boost pressure, and it was a 9-day difference. But so I changed the transmission. I went from a built TDI 5-speed with the Clutch Masters FX350 and a Quaife LSD to a completely bone stock O2Q Mark V GTI 6-speed. No LSD, unfortunately. The clutch, the clutch master sadly was not compatible, so I had to sell it, and I put my Black Forest Stage 2 in it. That lasted for a while. Eventually I wanted to rebuild it, resurface the flywheel, put Black Forest Stage 3 in it. Long story short, now it's a Stage 4 Black Forest. C2 Motorsports intake manifold. In fact, let me just put it on the engine. Since I'm talking about it, you probably want to see it. C2 Motorsports intake manifold. Went with a billet valve cover, 6-speed swap, Stage 4 BFI clutch. The turbo setup is different now. It was a C2 log manifold. It wasn't the cast one. This one I had was very prone to cracking. It cracked a few times. It had the 5457 turbo. Same wastegate though, F38 tile wastegate with an 8 psi spring. Went from a Forge 007 diverter valve to an RKX Tech hybrid, which leaked from the factory, and now a Turbo Smart diverter valve, which is extremely reliable. Let's see, it went from 8 pounds of boost steady to now having an Innovate SCG1 where I can change it to whatever level I want. On the dyno today, I was running a peak 20 psi, but it was basically 18.5 to 20 psi on that run. A lot has changed, so the fuel as well. Went from a stock fuel system to a B7 Audi RS4 fuel pump, which is retrofitted from the lower section to the Rabbit's top section, so I could just drop it right in. Bosch 550cc injectors with the harnesses, the correct harnesses connected into the engine harness like it should be. Went from the stock mass airflow sensor to a 4-inch Pro M ProMAF sensor, which normally has the air filter on it. I had to cut the pipe here to recirculate the catch can, which I since capped off and went away with again. So the filter doesn't fit right now. I almost never drive the car, so I'm not really worried about it. I don't live down any dirt roads or anything, so if I get to modifying the pipe again, I'll put the filter on. It's at home. So anyway, what else? I went from the side mount intercooler that was built by C2 Motorsports to a fully custom made front mount intercooler. This is a Vibrant front mount. I don't remember the part number. Local fabricator put it together for Cameron and actually bought this setup from him when he was upgrading. This is the Precision 5757 turbo, 2-inch charge pipe, all aluminum, going to the intercooler. Off the intercooler is 2.5 inch, and then I have a 2.5 to 3 coupler right here. I already mentioned the diverter valve. The exhaust for the turbo is 3-inch stainless downpipe. It ends under the back seats. There's no cat, there's no muffler, no resonator, no nothing, straight. It's a little too loud for my liking, but under 20 pounds of boost, high RPM, it sounds fucking amazing. The manifold went from the C2 that kept cracking to the SPA manifold, which is cast. Very, very durable manifold. You can kind of see it there. Very strong, durable, flows well. I mean, if I can make 400 wheel horsepower with a 5757 with a 0.63 AR on the turbine side, mind you, then it flows good. I know a guy that was making like 550 to the wheels on the same manifold, bigger turbo. So yeah, you can see the setup's changed a lot. Now the dyno, here's the sheet. I'm very happy with the results. I did have a little hiccup, which I'll talk about. So basically did 3 runs, and the first thing I noticed, besides obviously the peak numbers, the torque curve is just fucking impressive. It's just so aggressive. It's not too aggressive where like peak boost hits down here like 3,000, 3,500. It's still in a safe range. By the way, my best run made 380 pounds of torque at the wheels, and that was essentially between 4,500 RPM and 5,500 RPM, and peak horsepower 399. Now the reason I say I had a minor issue, if you see here, the power and torque drop off quite a bit in the higher RPM. Now he didn't even rev to 7,500, but the limiter is set for 7,800, and he didn't rev up to that. I told him he could ring it out and, you know, hit the rev limiter. I'm not worried about it. The problem is we had a little bit of a misfire, so he didn't notice it on the first 2 runs. Of the final run, we realized that When it hit peak boost and high RPM, we had a flashing check engine light, which is a slight misfire. Well, he asked what my spark plug gap is. I said 0.025. He said tighten them up for sure. The time where we got the misfire tells me that the spark plug gap is not big enough, and the boost, the volume moving through the cylinders is blowing out the spark. So I'm gonna tighten it up to 0.022, but I'm not going back to the dyno. The car runs great on the street. I don't have any issues with it, but I know that I could have made over 400 wheel if I didn't have a misfire. You know, with the misfire like that, you're losing some energy, which isn't spooling the turbo like it should. So still pulled fucking great, sounded amazing, no other hiccups there. The third and final run, which was nice and hot, 382 wheel, 364 torque, and that was with 85 degrees ambient temperature, back-to-back runs. Like, we didn't even really slow down to cool between. I think when we went down to idle speed, we pretty much did another pull less than a minute or two after that. So not too bad, consistent, torquey as hell, very happy. So that's pretty much it. The guys I went to were in Clearwater, Florida, PowerTech Performance. They normally deal with Corvettes, Camaros, Cadillac CTSVs, stuff like that. You know, a lot of fast cars. In fact, the other customer that was there with me waiting on his dyno had a C7 Corvette Z06 making 880 at the wheels. So I'm over here making less than half of that, but you know what? It's all right. They all treated me like I was an equal. Very cool dudes, very fast. So no complaints. I'm very happy now. And as mentioned before in one of my last videos and on Facebook, if you're on the groups, the car is for sale. It has been this whole time. I just haven't been pushing it because I wanted to work out some bugs. Powertrain wise, this thing is tits. It's absolutely perfect. From the engine intake to the exhaust, the clutch, everything. I couldn't ask for a better setup, honestly. Everything is just strong, and I've double checked everything as far as like leaks and bolts and you name it, and very confident in that department. Things I do want to check out to replace before the car does sell. I want to put some new tires in the back. Basically, you want to replace the headliner, get the seats in better condition, the front seats, and clean the paint up a little bit. Honestly, the paint on this car is not the best. From, you know, when you watch the car and you're just looking at it like this on camera, walking around, it looks great. But if you look up close, it's got some imperfections. You know, it's a 2007 with 104,000 miles basically, and it needs clay bar, and needs some waxing or maybe wet sand and buff. Honestly, the paint's never been really cared for. I've kept the car clean, but that's about it. Also, I'm gonna replace the windshield. I got a nice crack in it the other day. Literally the other day. So I'm gonna replace that here. I'm already talking to the insurance company about it. GTI brakes, lowering springs. You know, I'm gonna name it. I'm not gonna make the video too much longer. Just like, I'm gonna name all the little details when I go to put the car up for sale again. Renew the posts on the Facebook groups, and I'm probably going to post it on Bring a Trailer. So RS3 seats. I got the Mark 6 steering wheel. I got the European headlight switch, European dash cubby, 6-speed shifter, of course. The AC does work. I have to put refrigerant back in it before the car sells. I had to let the Freon get evacuated when I swapped the motor out. So AC does work. Sunroof, everything works. It does have a fully upgraded sound system from the head unit, which is Bluetooth touchscreen. All the door speakers are Fender audio, front and rear, and it has a subwoofer. It's not in the car right now, it's in my storage unit. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna end the video here. I'm very, very, very happy with the car. Like I said, a long time coming, and I'm just glad I got to finally close out all the goals and benchmarks that I had for this platform. And you know, if money was no object, I would honestly, I'm gonna sell the car regardless, but I would you know, buy myself a nice black Cadillac, and then I would buy another project car, and it would be something that's rear wheel drive, and I would want to put another 07K in it. because I really love the engines, you know, big time. So, but I'm gonna sell the car. It may be bittersweet, but I got plans to, you know, buy a house, and I just want to have a little bit more cushion when I get in the house. I want to be able to buy furniture, stuff like that. And you know, we'll see what my next car is. Right now I got the Toyota Camry as a daily, so when this is gone, I'm just gonna have that void until I buy another car that's fun to drive. This thing is so fun to drive, I'm gonna miss it. But hopefully the right buyer comes along. I want this car to go to someone just like the guy that sold it to me. I want this car to go to someone who really likes 07Ks and wants to take this 2.5 further, even if they leave it as is and just make it pretty. You know, I just want someone who's really going to be like another version of myself, I guess. So that's it.